Hello, this is Maggie Hernandez-Knight, and I'm excited to be here with you again for this episode where we're going to be discussing anger and grief. And this is a big topic right now because of what has just happened with Kobe Bryant. There's so much grief, even from people that don't know him and don't know the family. So I thought it was important to touch on this now because I think it's just the right time, and also because this is something that touches our lives every single day on so many different levels. So when we talk about grief and anger and everything that's connected, this does not only connect to something as intense and as traumatizing in our life as losing someone, but it can relate to almost any situation in our lives. So for example, if you're having a hard time at work, maybe there's a coworker that you're not getting along with, or your supervisor doesn't recognize you, this can definitely lead to a lot of pain and suffering. And if you're having a hard time in your relationship, same thing. If someone has physically assaulted you and has traumatized you, this can lead to lifelong anger, resentment, sadness, etc. And we may not know how to process these feelings. The first reaction, I think, could be that we sometimes stuff our feelings down. That was definitely the case in my life for so many years. I had experienced a lot of negativity in my life, and without placing blame, because people that hurt us sometimes don't really know what they're doing. They think they're helping us, especially parents. We think we're doing our best, and we don't realize that our style of parenting may be destructive, for our children, and we're inflicting a trauma on them. So that's what happened to me, basically. And I carried with me throughout my life a lot of anger, a lot of resentment and frustration, and didn't really know what to do about it. For a long time, I was just stuffing it down. And when we stuff things down and we don't allow ourselves to feel, and I wasn't letting myself feel anything, I felt like when you have emotion that you're expressing, that's a sign of weakness. And it was so ridiculous that I'd go to the movies with my girlfriends, and it could be a touching film, and they'd all be crying, and I would not allow myself to cry because I felt like that was a sign of weakness. Although I felt it inside, it was rumbling inside of me, I just didn't allow myself to actually express it. And I think so many of us are doing this, and we're not only doing it with pain and suffering, but we're also doing it when it comes to the expectations of others. Maybe the family wants you to live your life in a certain way or study a certain subject in college, and then you go that route because you want to make your family happy, but then you're stuffing down what's important to you and what you want to do with your life. And the more we are pressing down on our desires and our feelings and our emotions, the more contraction we're creating in our body. So we become contracted. We become these people that are just like wilting like a flower. And when we open up and we begin to feel and go after what we want in our life, we begin to feel like the flower is blooming. So there's the opposite reaction in our body, is that we are now becoming more expansive and open. And when we push down on ourselves and our emotions, we are contracting. And when we're contracted, we feel more stressed. We feel more tired, resentful, and all the negative emotions connected to that. And when we're more open, we feel happier. We feel more joy. We feel more hopeful. We feel like there's so much more in our life that we can do when we are more open and expansive. And really, that's what we want in life, is to go after what makes us more open and expansive. So what happens when you're going through something that is extremely painful? What do you do with that? Because you can feel it forever, for a long time, and then it brings a lot of confusion for us. Why am I still feeling this? Why am I still going through this? I want to touch upon this a little bit to bring a little clarity around this subject. It's absolutely confusing to a lot of my clients who don't understand, like, why am I still, I feel like I need time to grieve the losses in my life, whether it be people that have expired and or the loss of something important to me, for example, a job or a relationship. And how long is enough time to feel and grieve these losses? So let me begin by saying that the first part of this is obviously that we need to be willing to feel the feelings, because when we don't feel the feelings, what happens is that we are creating little pockets of energy in us that get stuck and then stay with us and keep us stuck in every other area in our life. So I know a lot of people are not comfortable with the word energy, but I would like to explain it like this. It's no different than when you are in a great mood and you come into an event and you're sharing this beautiful energy that you're carrying, and everybody is infected with your joy. They are actually reacting to the energy that you're bringing. And the opposite can happen when you're not feeling that great and you bring that heaviness with you into an event or a space. People will feel that too, and they'll run away from you, right? So we're creatures of, we humans are very attracted to what makes us feel good, and we'll run away from what doesn't make us feel good. So in the case of the energy that you bring, people are going to react to it. And so for us, the first thing is for us to be comfortable feeling the feelings, so that we're not storing them up and then carrying them with us everywhere and affecting the people that are around us. And your relationship will be affected, your job situation will be affected, because the relationships with other human beings will be affected by your energy. There's going to be a normal, natural response. And so you want to begin to feel the feelings. So give yourself time, like anything else. Plan a moment in your time during a week, let's say, where you can say, okay, Wednesday night I'm going to carve out some time so that I can just be with whatever it is that I'm feeling in my life. And you can start with something small. If you've had big trauma and you're not comfortable going that deep yet, start with something a lot less painful to you, and just begin to feel the feelings. And by feeling the feelings, I'm saying, if you think about a situation and it creates tears or sadness, then you allow yourself to feel it. If it brings up anger, you allow yourself to feel it. Obviously, you need to consider doing so in a healthy manner. I'm not an advocate of hurting anyone else, but what I'm saying is, pound a pillow, cry into the mattress, pound a wall, maybe that's padded, if there is such a thing. Probably not in your home, but I love the bedroom, because the bedroom is filled with things like a mattress and pillows that you can pound and you can scream into to allow that energy to start to be released. However, the most important part of the equation, which I'm going to share, is the deep breath. Because the breath is actually the thing that is going to go in there and remove that energy that is stuck in your body that is creating the tension. And I will give you an example. I worked with a client once many years ago who had been in tears for years over the loss of something in her life. And she had lots and lots of support. So everyone was there for her, between family and friends and neighbors, co-workers. They were all there for her and giving her the time and the space and the shoulder to cry on. Except that the crying continued for so long that she began to question it. And I suggested to her that she bring the breath in. That when she feel that intense pain and the tears come and they seem to be uncontrollable, for her to go into her body wherever she's feeling it. So if it's in your heart, because that's where we suffer heartbreak, is in our heart center, put your hands on that heart and just breathe in. And how do you breathe into an area? You take a deep, deep breath from your belly all the way up to your chest. And when you feel that you've filled up and you don't have any more breath to bring in, you go a little bit more and you breathe it to the area that is in pain, which if it's your heart, you bring it here. And you expand that area, and then you allow sound to come out through your mouth. That pain. But that sound is connecting to that pocket of energy that needs to be released. And if you do this for some time consistently, you will see a change. So in the case of this particular client who was having this issue, she practiced this breathing technique, and within 2 weeks she said, I cannot believe that I am no longer crying. And it's not that she stuffed it down, she allowed herself to feel it, but she used the breath to go in and remove the energy that was keeping this feeling alive in her for a long, long, long time. And so I want to rewind just a little bit. For those of you that are not where she is yet, how long is long enough for us to grieve and to feel the pain of an experience? Well, initially, when we experience something traumatic in our lives, and maybe it's not so traumatic, it could be something minor, but initially it's going to generate a feeling in us. And that feeling is going to be pretty intense. So let's say somebody steps on your foot and it gets you angry and you feel it for a moment. You're like, ugh, couldn't you be more careful? But then you'll see that in a moment it passes. So the energy of that experience has already been resolved because it's over, like in 2 seconds. Now, obviously, if you suffer a deep trauma, a death in the family, or you're suffering from PTSD, or you've lost a job and you're feeling extremely scared about your future, you may feel something that is much, much stronger. So for example, if there has been a death in your family or friend or someone close to you, you may feel that heartbreak where it feels like your heart wants to just jump out of your body. And you know then that you're not ready, that you're still like in the initial stages of these feelings where they're so intense that you're just feeling it day and night, and you can barely function. It's like the breath is so hard and so deep, and you're just crying, and maybe you're not crying, but you just feel it like deep in every cell in your body. That is so painful. And over time, that bodily pain subsides. And then you still may feel the sadness of the experience or the anger of the experience, because there are many stages that you're going to go through. But you can at one point see when there's a shift that happens. When time passes and your body is no longer in that reaction mode, I feel like I'm going to die. And you're feeling the sadness whenever you think about the person, or whenever you think about the job that you lost or the relationship that you lost. Whenever you think about the person, you still may be feeling it. And it may be great to go in and do some breathing so that you can release and let this go. But if you're wondering, how long is long enough? I know people who have grieved the loss of a relationship for a decade, especially after, let's say, a divorce. All right, you can grieve that loss for a decade and maybe even longer. And you may question, well, when is enough? And maybe others are questioning you and saying, well, why are you still crying over the same, relationship? Why are you crying over the same person? Why is your ex still creating so much tension and bad feelings in you and in your body? And you may say, well, I don't know, I'm still going through it, I'm still feeling it, right? When you begin to question the length of time, so why am I still angry? Why am I still hurting inside? Why am I still grieving this loss? Why am I still upset and feeling disappointed? That's the moment that you're ready. That's the moment when you can begin to move past the grief and the loss. So it's not when someone else says, okay, it's time to get over it, enough. Your body will tell you that extreme pain that you felt, that heartbreak, that's over. And then the triggers keep happening and you feeling it. But when you begin to say, okay, my life is not working and I'm still feeling this, like when am I going to stop feeling this, is the moment that you know that you're ready. And then what do you do with it? Oh, this is big, right? What do you do with it? Once you realize that you are ready to move past because you're questioning yourself, and how do you actually move past? Well, it requires some mental practice. And these are not ideas that are easy to digest. So if you are in grief right now, deep grief right now, you may not want to hear what I'm about to say, so you may want to listen to this at another point in time. But what I will say is this, is that you are the master of your own thoughts, and everything begins with those thoughts. And although you can't pretend that the loss is not there, that you haven't lost a person that you loved, you can't pretend that you haven't lost the relationship, gone through the divorce, that you haven't lost the job of your dreams, etc., or that you are not able to pursue a dream for whatever reason, right? So when you decide that you want to move past, you have to begin to use the mind to create a better situation for you. And it was a little twisted, but I'm just going to try to explain it best that I can. You can say to yourself, I want to think this way and I want to think that way to make a more positive experience for you, even if you're feeling like, oh, well, it's fake. Because let's say I say to you, maybe your ex-husband or your ex-wife cheated on you, and this is the cause of a lot of pain and suffering on your part. Maybe a lot of time has passed and you're feeling like it's time to get over it, but you can't get past the issue at hand, which is this person betrayed you and left like a black hole inside of you. So what do you do with that? If I say to you, consider forgiving and letting go, you might automatically be triggered and say, no, it's not fair. I don't want to forgive. That person doesn't deserve my forgiveness, and I don't want to let go. But I will say this to you, that forgiving and letting go what happened to you in the past has nothing to do with that person. Oftentimes people that hurt us are living their lives and they don't think about us. They don't worry about us. They may be wrapped up in their own issues and their own problems, because sometimes people hurt us because they do have their own problems. Everyone does. Each and every one of us has an issue, something that we carry from the past that needs to be worked out, including me. I've worked out a lot of my own stuff, but there's so much more. There's so much more that is, I'm sure, buried inside of me that I haven't even realized and noticed, that I have to work on. And so that process never ends. But if we're going to hold other people responsible and be angry at them for the rest of our life, it means that we are going to suffer, not them. So I always say that we do whatever it takes for us to feel good. Even if it means forgiving, even if it means letting go of someone or something that you feel does not deserve your mercy. The mercy, again, is not for them. It is for you, so that you feel better. And in life, you cannot find your happiness unless you are having experiences that make you feel better, that contribute to your expansion. Remember, I mentioned that earlier. You have to have more experiences that allow for expansion and not contraction. You don't want to be contracted, you want to be expanded, you want to open up, because that's how you attract all the great things in life that you want. You have to be willing to go there. So let's assume that you or someone that you know has an experience that needs to be healed, that you need to move past. One of the things that you can do is look at the situation first and ask yourself if it's possible that this person had a negative experience in their own life that is causing them to behave in the way they do that can be hurtful to other people. And maybe your answer is yes, and maybe you don't really know. But let's just make the assumption that this is what's happening. Again, it doesn't have to be accurate, because we're playing a little game here, a little mind game with you to improve your experience in life. So even if it's inaccurate, doesn't matter. I would like for you, the person that you're listening to this for, to consider seeing the possibility that this person may have been hurt, and that is what is causing their negative behavior, whether it be true or not. Okay, that's step number one. Step two is realizing that your experience has value. Even if it was extremely negative, but your experience has some kind of value in it. Either there's a lesson in it for you to learn, or there's a lesson in it that you can share with other people. And again, you may not want to accept or even consider the fact that there are lessons. However, the point is that if you believe that there's a lesson, it will help you feel good. You will feel more expanded if you see that there's a lesson. And so what I'm saying is you change your own mindset about your experiences, whether or not you agree, whether or not you feel that it is the truth, but that you change your mind about a situation simply so that you can have a better experience in life, so that you can move forward in a more positive sense, so that you can feel that expansion. And then I would say that if you can have a discussion with the person that has hurt you, if someone has hurt you, then that would be the ideal. You don't have to do it. And the reason I say that's the ideal is because if other people hurt us because they are also hurting, then you having a conversation with them about the experience and this idea that you can forgive and let go, it will also cause them to begin their own healing process. So I just want to do a quick recap on what we discussed, and that is that in life we have experiences that create pain and suffering and trauma, and it is extremely painful, and you're going to feel it initially. Sometimes in your body you feel that extreme loss, like right here your heart feels broken, and when you're feeling that intense emotion, your body is still reacting. You know that you're still deeply wounded, and you need to feel those feelings and don't stuff them down. If you're not comfortable with feeling your emotions, then Give yourself the time and the place to do so privately. I love the bedroom, I mentioned before, because you have a bed and you have pillows that you can scream and pound into, which would really help the release. And then when you're releasing, use the deep breath to really go in and pull out that energy that's attached to the experience. And if you don't believe me that there is energy attached to our experiences, notice when you're angry over time and you become resentful and somebody presses that button and then you explode, it's the energy, what you are storing up inside of you, that is now being released. And so using the breath along with the pounding and the screaming and the crying will allow you to remove that energy so that you don't spend, let's say, a decade crying over an intense experience that you had in the past that is still lingering. And then consider changing your mind about your experiences, understanding that things happen sometimes because other people are experiencing their own challenges and then their behavior is affected and they hurt us, sometimes unintentionally. And that if we let go and we change our mind about the situation and we say that there is something useful here in this for me, whether you really believe it or not, is okay. It's all about you feeling better, creating expansion so that you are feeling lighter, more positive, and you can grow and you can achieve certain things in your life, and you're not feeling contracted. When we stuff down our feelings and we're feeling negative and we're feeling the pain and the suffering of our experiences, we are contracted, then we cannot experience in life what we want to experience. So I think that's a lot to digest in, I don't know how much time I've been here with you, but consider coming back to it when you can and listen again and again, take notes and take the steps that I'm suggesting and see what happens. And let me know what the outcome is for you, how this has affected you, if something has shifted and changed. I always love to hear the stories from anyone who experiences my work. So I think that's all for now. I hope that you will listen to this over and over again as much as you'd like, so that you can get the most benefit and do the work. I say over and over again, you need to do the work. If you don't do the work, then listening in is not going to help you in the very least. You need to take action, and it needs to be consistent and persistent until something clicks. And it will. Because everything I'm sharing with you, I have experienced myself. And if I haven't directly, definitely one of my clients has. So I will leave you there. Feel free to send me comments, emails, direct messages, whatever makes you more comfortable. I'm here to answer questions and to support you in every way that I can. Love you guys and wishing you all the best.